greetings.
What's going on,
Good
brother?
morning. Good to see you.
Great day to you.
Beautiful. Sun just came out over here. Nice
Awesome.
foggy morning.
You said what?
Nice foggy morning. Sun just came out.
Yeah, it has been a nice little foggy day. The sun's trying to peek out as well over on this side. I'm in the Riverside area. What area are you in?
In Temecula. So it's like right in between LA and San Diego, inland from the mountains there.
True, Temecula. Awesome, man. Awesome.
hmm
It was cool to meet you the other day, and I didn't even know I was gonna meet you there. When I saw you out there meditating around the ducks, like I didn't even know you were in the group. You were just chilling.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Oh
it was
man.
beautiful. It was
You,
good. Yeah,
you
got there
felt
early.
you
Sorry.
said what?
Got there early and just walked around and went to the music and then went and sat down, waited for it to start, wait for you to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, man. You were out there barefoot on the grass. You just were meditating, like the ducks were around you. You looked like you were in your element, man.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm Yeah, it's really nice.
man.
And then you showed up. I saw you immediately. I knew you were gonna be part of the group. I was gonna get up and say hi, but then figured I'd just follow you over to where we were actually gonna be.
Wow, blessings. We follow the energy,
Mhm.
we follow the energy. And that was awesome, self-love with Celeste. Did you know Sunrise wasn't going to be there this
Yeah,
time?
yeah. I was just in LA for the weekend because I was visiting my girlfriend, and then I kind of like looked it up because I thought like that I had remembered that there was Trap Chi on Saturdays in that area at Echo Park, and so I looked it up, and then I saw that on Sunrise's on his story that he wasn't gonna be there. There's still like something happening, so I tapped in
Okay.
RSVP. Yeah,
Yeah. And shout out to Sunrise, man. Definitely
yeah,
shout out to him because he's
yeah.
been doing this for a minute,
hmm
How long have you been doing Trap Chi with Sunrise?
I've actually never gone to one in Echo Park. I did Trap Chi with him at Soul Awakening in Flagstaff, and then that was the first time I really connected with him. And yeah, and then since then I've been like kind of following him more. Before that, I had just gotten into his music, and that's kind of the only uh, connection that I had there. But then since then, I've been following his socials and that kind of more.
Awesome. You said Flagstaff, so that was in
Yeah,
Arizona.
yeah.
Soul Awakening. How was that, bro?
Soul Awakening was beautiful. It was really an experience. I drove up two people from California, carpooled over there, and we got there at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. because we drove all night. And right when I got there, I met some of the people that were organizing the event, and they were just very, very cool people, really tapped in. And immediately it just jumped into a conversation of like, this isn't just a festival. Like, this is more than a festival. We're doing something like real here. We're trying to change the whole like hip hop scene. We're trying to change the festival scene into just like community building, bringing the people together. And like right when I saw the advertisement for Soul Awakening, it was all about like bringing the healers together, bringing everyone here in one place. And I saw the artists that were there, the lineup, Spectrum, D-Rock, Sunrise, right? A few other people, and I was like, okay, I gotta show up for this. So ended up going. Um, yeah, and it was really, really crazy. It was a very symbolic experience and just met so many amazing people there. Everyone really just understood. Uh, it was refreshing to have so many people that just understood how connected we are to this creation and how connected we are to the earth, and to be in a space where it was just like forest, national forest all around us, and just beautiful people, beautiful music the entire time, beautiful food. There was such good food. Checks, or I'll put his link maybe, but yeah, it was really amazing food and just an experience for sure.
Wow, man. Thank you for sharing that, bro. Because, as I'm listening to you, Kai, when you talk about, the connection and us celebrating our connection that we have, to this planet, to nature, to everything, have you always felt that connection? Do you feel like you've always innately known that you have this connection?
Mm. I feel like I've definitely gotten lost in the my surroundings in the past, especially like growing up. I never really had people around me that understood that. And so I was just kind of like going through the school system, kind of just saying no to things, not really like being grounded in that kind of truth of like we are like kind of like you are that consciousness, but just kind of saying no to the matrix things that are popping up, like that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense, and just moving in my direction. But then I ended up going to college and dropping out at 17, and then kind of that was when I started really getting deeper into this, and I had time to kind of separate myself from that and really like relearn a lot of stuff, release a lot of programming. Yeah.
So this has kind of been a journey, not of just releasing, but also relearning.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Remembering, reconnecting with the truth. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Because when you said like, the matrix things that you kind of had to say no to, what were like a couple of those matrix things that you had to kind of X out of your reality at that time?
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a lot of like success. There's a lot of things that are like you need to succeed, and this is the way that you do it. This is the way that, it's set up, and this is the conveyor belt of like you go through school, you go through the more school, you go through the job, you go to this, and like these are the things that you're allowed to do. And so kind of just releasing the limitations of like what channels you're allowed to move in, and just realizing that like it's an open field. You can do whatever you want, you can do any direction, you just have to find like where you're actually being guided to. And so at first I was in high school and I graduated in 3 years because I didn't want to be there, and so I was trying to get out as soon as possible, and then ended up going to university. And I was like, okay, I know that I can take on big challenges. At that point, when I had graduated, I had my black belt in Taekwondo since I was 6 years old. I had done 2 marathons. I had raced half Ironman triathlon, and like I had done these big accomplishments, right? And so I was like, okay, I can do something that's really challenging, right? And so I was like, what's the hardest thing? Best paying jobs. That's kind of like what you go for. You're like, I want money. I want, something that's going to be fulfilling, kind of, but it has to make money, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do medicine because I was into kind of like CPR, kind of medicine for the body and stuff. So I was like, I'll do neurosurgery. And so I went to school for neurobiology and like did that for 1 year. I was like, I'm gonna do 16 more years of school after wanting to leave right away so that I can get this job that's gonna make this much money, and it's gonna do this for my, people are gonna be impressed and whatever, because I'm like, I know I can do something big, but I just was in the wrong frame. I had to kind of release that frame, get back into just the field, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense, and I had no idea you had such a background.
Yeah.
So much variety. Like they say, variety is the spice of life.
Mm.
Bro, you even like Stephen Strange, isn't that Doctor Strange, the neurosurgeon?
Yeah. Yeah.
You were going in, you were studying to do brain surgery. I mean, that's upper echelon.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
very
I had only
professional.
done the first year, so it was just like the basics, kind of getting into like the most that I got into the depth of that was like a physiology course, like physiology anatomy, which was really nice. I like learning about the body, but it's always in the context of like material science. And so what I actually enjoyed more was after I dropped out, I ended up doing an EMT course. And so that was more like the science of the body, the physiology, anatomy. And I already had that background from doing it in school, but it was in terms of like how we need oxygen. Like in the moment when the body's deprived of oxygen, this is why we need oxygen. This is how it affects the system. Like this is how important that is to the system. And it's like, it's kind of when you have all these things, you take them for granted. But when you're in a situation where you're considering when you don't have something like oxygen, or you don't have the heart beating, then you can see like how it's really like how much it really is needed, and where that affects it, and how fast things can change if you're deprived of oxygen or something like that, right? So that was more interesting, like how it really affects the body versus just like how the neurons fire, and like how, you know, this signal gets transmitted over here, and it's like it doesn't really apply to anything. It's just the science of it, which is valuable if you're getting like deep into that, and that's really what you want to be learning. But this doesn't apply that much, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't like that aligned in that way, but you found things that were applicable for
Mm-hmm.
you. You found things that you could take and apply them to other areas. Because even with like Taekwondo, becoming a black belt, you know, like what do you feel like that give you? What did it give you above like the sense of confidence that you know how to handle yourself? What do you feel like was some of your biggest takeaways from that experience?
Mm. Yeah, so that was when I was pretty young. I started doing Taekwondo when I was 5 years old, I think, and then I got my black belt when I was 6, and then I did Polynesian Kempo for a year as well, which is like a form of Kung Fu. Um, and it was really cool to do that because I was this little kid and I was going against like the older people in my group and like fighting them. And my instructor, my sensei, would always call me the little giant. And it was just like this, it did give me a lot of confidence to be a protector, to be like a warrior and just stand in that. And that I never needed to, you know, pick fights or anything like that. I have this story that's kind of funny. I barely remember it, but it's told back to me, where I was doing like a soccer camp or something, and someone came up to me and he's like trying to, or no, he was like trying to throw punches at someone else, and I like stand in between him, and I just stand there, and he keeps trying to throw punches, and I'm just blocking, and it's like not even doing anything, just blocking, and he just like stops. He gets annoyed and he walks away, and I'm like, okay, like me as like a 6-year-old. But just yeah, stepping into that kind of warrior protector archetype that I feel like I've probably already developed in past lives, or I already kind of have that experience, and just kind of adding that into this life really early on. And it's allowed me to stay in that and just feel confident wherever I am and be safe with who I'm with, and be able to protect them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So it's like the little giant, the little giant. So that confidence that you built there, it bled into other areas. You
Mm-hmm.
know, sounds like you were able to use it, and you didn't abuse it,
Yeah.
but you were able to choose it in certain scenarios. Like he just, what do they say when when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, right?
Yeah.
He was coming, but you were
Mm-hmm.
just blocking. There was nothing, there was nowhere for the fire to go, so there was no way for the fire to grow. You weren't adding any more logs to the fires. It had to dissipate. It had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's awesome, man. You douse the flame,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The flame becomes tame. So, you know, I love your name because it's Kai Ever Learning, how you put it on there, ever learning. And I enjoy learning as well because I feel like there is no end. You know, knowledge has no end. We can be learning for the rest of our lives. So why did you put your name like that in that way? How does it inspire you?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We're never done learning. We can choose to, and it is a choice. We can choose to put ourselves in a box and maybe say I've learned enough, or say I'm at a point where I have to focus on other things or whatever. But really, unless you're blocking out things, you're always learning from every experience, just being present in the moment. And the more present you can be, the more that you can learn, because you can only learn in the moment unless you're reflecting. But you're always learning through experience. You're always learning through people. You're always learning through whatever resources. I've been on maybe the last 2 years, kind of a grind to learn as much as I need to catch up to where I'm supposed to be, for whatever that means. But Yeah, we're always learning. We're never going to stop. And I personally am connected to and have been connecting to things like astrology and energy practices. And those things are just like things that are more aligned with kind of nature and this reality. And those things are just infinite. Like they really never stop. You can learn those for an entire lifetime and you're scratching the surface. Like you are never going to be done learning that. And I do think that the school systems that we have right now kind of limit you in a way because you like graduate high school, they give you a degree, and you're like, okay, I'm done learning, right? I graduated, I have my certificate that says I learned, and now I'm ready for the world. I can go get a job for the rest of my life, and so I'm done, right? So it kind of like it gives you that attentional blink where you like think that you got it, but then you don't look past that and keep pushing of like what is behind that. And same thing with college, right? You get a degree. A lot of people in university don't even necessarily care what they're learning. They're just there for the degree, and then they get it, and they're like, okay, now I can go get a job. I can start real life. But learning is the real life. That's all we're here for. That's all we're here for. We're here to learn. We're here to grow with others as a community, as a collective. And we're never done learning. We're never done growing. Yeah.
And man, brother, I couldn't agree more. You know, I couldn't agree more. It's like when I look at you, and I have a couple of friends that they dropped out as well. I see you as a ahead of the curve. You know, like you were a cut above. You saw something before other people were able to see it. You know, and were able to say, no, this is not the way. Like I don't know if you've seen The Mandalorian.
Hmm.
You know, they say this is the way. Right?
Yeah.
Way.
Yeah.
You know. So to be able to say this isn't the way is such a form of rebellion today, but it's a thing that can bring you to a feeling that is so freeing when you're able to be seeing something that other people aren't seeing. And did you come up against opposition? Like, did your family, did your friends, were there people that looked down on you? Were there people that, you know, teased you for not finishing what they thought was pertinent to their path or their purpose in life? You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, definitely. People, there's I'll talk about The Matrix. The movie The Matrix is just it's a documentary, but people that are plugged in until you realize that you become an agent of the Matrix. And so like if you are within that system and you've never chosen to look outside of it, then it's like that's the way. That's how you do it, right? You go to school, you finish school. If you're not in school for like some career, and it's funny because part of that is we have this mindset in society that's really drilled in of like you have to look so far into the future to make your decision now. And so it's like when it starts in, middle school even or elementary school, it's like I'm going to get these grades, it's going to get my GPA so that I can get into college, and then college, if I don't get this grade, then it's not going to get me into college. If I don't get into college, I'm not going to get a good job. I'm not going to get a good job. I'm not going to find a partner. No one's going to love me. I'm not going to have money. I'm not going to succeed in life. I'm not going to have food. I'm going to end up on the streets. Like it's this whole chain of, fear. It's just, it keeps adding on more and more things the further you go out into the future because you don't know it, then it keeps adding on more and more fear. So until you can really come back and be present, stay in the now moment, and make decisions with that, you just keep adding fear. And so I definitely had people around me that would add fear for me, and it's like I don't need this for me. It's not for me. You're adding fear for you. Like you can have that. And it did affect me for a while, right? Having people around me that are like putting that in, but it's almost like a challenge, right? It's not easy to release these kinds of belief systems. It's not easy to do that. So it's like, do you really want this? Are you sure you want to not take this path? Are you sure you want to go a different direction? And so it's just more and more people keep going, are you sure? Are you sure? This is how I think. This is how I think. This is how we think. This is, are you sure? And so it's been a process of internal work, just like being here, and there's moments of like, I don't know what to say to you. Like there's nothing that I can say that's gonna make you think how I think, make you feel how I feel in this moment, and make you understand uh, how I'm moving. You know? Yeah, yeah,
Man. So with a challenge like that, I like how it's almost like you said, challenge
yeah,
accepted. You know,
yeah.
challenge like, okay, you know, everybody's coming around me. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? You know, are you certain? Are you positive? You know,
Hmm.
you know, and you're like, you know, you're tasked with standing firm, standing your ground on this path that you found, you know, that you feel like is better for you. It's interesting because I love how you talked about the Matrix, and even reminiscent of Celeste, where we were just doing the self-love seminar with Celeste. She was giving an example. She would illustrate on that about how reflection was like rumination on the past,
Hmm.
and intention was, you know, focus on the future, but then the meditation was in the now moment, which you keep bringing us back to the now.
Hmm.
You know, what is happening now? And one of my friends told me that now is like an acronym for no opportunity wasted.
That's beautiful.
No wasted.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. No opportunity
Hmm.
wasted now, you know? And if you know, if you're getting met with no, no just means next opportunity. And he said that you never have to be poor. You might be, you might feel like you're broke, like you have nothing in your bank account. But he said you never have to be poor in life, because poor just stands for passing over opportunities repeatedly.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I love the word language is so beautiful. It can be limiting, but it's so like it's so beautiful when you get into it like that. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So that kind of gave me a, it gave me the power to say, oh, it's a choice. You know,
Hmm.
I don't have to be poor. I don't have to be poor. I don't have to explore the avenues that have already been explored, the trail that has already been blazed time and time and time again by all these other people. I can blaze my own trail. I can set my own path, you
Hmm.
know. And I like in the Matrix, you know, what Morpheus offered Neo, the two pills.
Hmm.
He, you know, you could take the blue pill, stay in Wonderland, right? Go back to your polo sheets, go back to your bed, and or you can take the red pill, see how far the rabbit hole goes. You
Hmm.
know, he said, I can only show you the door, but you're the one that has to walk through it.
Yeah.
Like you're the one that has to do it. So was there ever an influence in your life, like a mentor or a guide or anybody that was that Morpheus for you, or just an inspiration for you in that way?
Well, my mom has worked in energy medicine for most of her life. She is a little bit limited in the sense that she hasn't been able to work here for, she still, or she just got her kind of able go ahead to be able to work here because she's a Canadian citizen. And my dad's been on like a work visa here for a while, but so she hasn't been able to like set up a practice, but she's worked in energy medicine. So that's kind of like an influence, but there was still uh, more of the success, like physical success kind of stuff than the energy influence for a while. And I had to, it wasn't until I really had released a lot of things that I could come back and be like, oh, I do actually really want to learn from you. And like, you do have things to teach me in this. But it wasn't really, I think that the key kind of opening of that, and really the door doesn't even have a lock. Like the door, there's not even a door. It's an open wall that you just have to step forward and like, you know, it all falls away. But I think that the thing that really got me into that was a podcast called the Know Thyself podcast, and they go through a bunch of occult kind of concepts. They start off with the esoteric brain, with the triune brain, with like the R complex and the limbic system um, and the neocortex, right? Got tofu here.
You said tofu?
Yeah, that's my cat's name. I have 7 cats right now, 2 dogs,
You said how many cats?
7 cats.
7 cats, 2 dogs.
Yeah, and three snakes in the house.
7 cats, 3 snakes, and dogs. Like,
Yeah.
that's that's a whole family.
Yeah, tofu we found on a Temecula talk thing. Her and her two siblings were found in a bush, and they weren't able to be taken care of, so we took them in,
Whoa,
and there she is. What?
you rescued them.
Yes.
What?
And so we took them in, and we've had them since they were about 2 weeks old. She really likes the phone right now. Um, and then the dogs were another rescue, actually. Our friends found them in another bush in Escondido, and there were 7 of them, and they were 2 days old. And so they found them in the bush. They heard one of them making a little bit of noise, and the rest of them were not making any noise. They were all hypothermic, and they brought them over to our house, and we warmed them up for like 2 hours with one of them in each of our shirts, warming them up. And then we saved their lives. And we ended up not being able to take care of them. We tried to take care of them for maybe like a week, but it's hard. Like you have to be there 24/7. You have to help them use their bathroom. You have to feed them all the time, and we're switching between 7 puppies. And then we ended up giving them to a no-kill shelter for a little while, and then we got 2 of them back. We gave 2 of them to some friends, and then the others were adopted out as soon as they were ready. So they all found homes, but we still have 2 of them, and they are big. They are 6 months old now, 5.5 months old now, and they're like full-size lab-sized dogs, but they're like Caucasian Shepherds. They're gonna be like big livestock guardian dogs. Um, so that'll be fun. But
Wow, so this was a recent rescue. Like
yeah,
this was, I mean, geez, man, that's amazing. Like how you were able to corral them, and you said you cared for them, you caressed them, you held them, and you made sure that they were warm, and you helped them like do everything that they needed to. I mean, that's a lot, you
yeah.
know? That's a lot, man. Like through that experience, what do you feel like it taught you, you know, through taking care, being a caretaker in that way? What
Mm-hmm.
did,
It really forced me to slow down, because in that time I was like really, for the last little while, and recently a little less, so I've been slowing down a little bit, but I've been like grinding on the information. I feel like I have to, in this like relearning process, I've been like, I gotta go deeper. I gotta like have a solid foundation of understanding so I can connect with other people on this stuff. And so I've been like really grinding that information, like absorbing as much as I possibly can anytime I have the opportunity. And so it got me into this state of like kind of too fast. My attention is too fast. I got to get to the next thing. I got to be like absorbing information, or else I'm not like kind of back into, it's almost like a back door back into the matrix of like, I got to be productive. I got to be doing something. I got to be like, making progress, whatever that means. Um, and so just having to be there, like I can't be grinding information while I'm, caring for 7 puppies at once. I have to be like switching between them. I'm feeding them all, and then I'm helping them all go to the bathroom. I'm feeding them all. I'm helping them all. It's constant work. And so really had to slow down, come back into my heart, and just be there with them, and really just feel, really helped me to be more present and just be more heart-centered, because I was really like advancing my mind, trying to level up my mind in that way, and releasing things, and absorbing all this information. Um,
you
yeah.
know, you remind me, Kai, I had a teacher one time, and he told me that he had a saying, and I guess you could apply this to cats as well. But he said, dogs make us human,
Mm-hmm.
human. Because he said you could see somebody on the road, you know, so angry, so irate. It seems like they're mad at the world. They could be cutting off people, flipping off people, you know, shouting things at people. And then they get home to their dog, and they're like the kindest, you know, the most gentle, the most tender, the most loving, like, oh, you know, come here, and, you know. And he said, dogs make us human.
Mm-hmm.
Like we should, why don't we treat other humans the way that we treat these
Yeah.
animals, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. it's interesting. Oh, I think that I mean I can go into that.
Go
I
ahead.
totally agree with you. Oh, sure, sure. I totally agree with you. I think that they really make us come into our heart and just be there with them, and it's therapeutic to have the touch sensation. There's something that I heard recently where it's like humans need like 8 hugs a day for optimal health. And that can be, friends, family, or animals. And so just having that touch sensation is therapeutic for sure, and it brings people back into their more childlike, right? When you get into adult, especially in this framework of society right now, you need to be independent. You need to be hyper independent. You need to be like, I don't know. People need to cut themselves off from things in order to shield their emotions, shield their maybe inner child, shield things from getting hurt by being vulnerable. And vulnerability is definitely true strength, but having the animal connections is like a doorway into that without having the possibility of them talking back to you and hurting you, right? Like you can really let your walls down because there's no way that they're gonna uh, have that kind of pushback and hurt you in some way. Even if there's no way that humans would do that either, like just connecting with someone, they're not really gonna be pushing back on you like that if you're not being having a lot of resistance yourself, right? You're kind of projecting resistance a lot of the time. Um, but yeah, definitely bringing us into our heart space. And I'm losing my thought, but
No, I love that. I love that because, I feel like you really give a message of getting out of the headspace and into the heart
mhm.
space. You know, how can we get back into the heart space and stay in the heart space? Because you said 8 hugs a day for optimum health.
I think so.
Op,
Yeah, that's what it
op,
said.
so for optimum health, 8 hugs a day.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
just to be
yeah.
optimum. And that's interesting because when I met you, Kai, I was going in for the dap for the head. He's like, nah, I do
Hmm.
hugs. We've got hugs out here, and we hugged, and it was like, oh, okay, this is what it is. So, when did that started, and how have you felt like that sort of connection, even with people that you've just met for the first time? How have you noticed that change other people?
Hmm. Yeah, it really just immediately melts people's walls. Like those walls of protecting yourself, protecting the you inside that's like trying to do everything that this reality requires of you. Like this is a hard incarnation. This is a hard place to be, right? This earth is challenging. And so being here, you're inside like trying to do all the things that people expect of you, trying to do all the things to just survive. And then you end up, if you're not aware of it, you end up projecting these walls of protection to keep people away, keep people at a distance because you think that something's going to affect you negatively. And when you really come in there and your fields just kind of merge and you just feel that connection, it just melts away. And, I will try to give a hug to whoever I feel will be receiving of it when I'm in a space. There's a lot of people that just don't want it. They won't allow that into them. Their walls are too strong, right? And they're not going to welcome that. So I won't force that. Like you gotta meet people where they're at. If they only want like some loving words or something, like some encouragement, then that's fine. They're on their path or they're playing their own game. But anyone who's receiving, I will give a nice warm hug. The longer, the better, within reason, right? We've got things to do. But yeah, the longer, the better. And there was this person said recently at an event that I was at that if you have like a longer hug, then your parts kind of fit together better over time. You just breathe for a moment, breathe together, your parts fit together, and then your barriers really just melt even more. If you have that extra few seconds, extra, even a minute long hug, like you can really just get into that feeling of connection, feeling of love. And I don't know if there's probably a lot of people that have maybe never even felt that. So just having people, helping people experience that for the first time even can be a transformational experience for sure. Yeah.
Super transformational. You know, like I appreciate you even talking about the projection of the walls of protection. You
Hmm.
because we do have a lot of that kind of projection and even reflection of those walls of protection that we put up to try and guard ourselves or try and block or try and set those, we call a lot of these healthy boundaries. We need
Yeah.
boundaries, but when that boundary is no longer there, we can be even more aware of that feeling of care, like not just for someone else but even for yourself.
Hmm.
And like you said, it just melts away. I love that.
Hmm.
You're able to find where the pieces fit together, and you feel even better.
Hmm.
You know, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful, bro. It's like it reminds me of eye gazing. There's so many people. I remember I was at a festival, and Sunrise was there, and there was we were just walking around different areas, and there was one area where they had a stage, and this woman was on the stage playing like a cello or a violin or something, and she just had everybody turn to each other, face each other, two people, two people, two people. Everybody just eye gazed for
Yeah.
like a full, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. People were crying, tears were coming down people's faces. It was like they were being seen for the first time in their lives,
Wow.
you know and it was emotional out there.
Yeah.
Like, it had never done that before. So just, like you said, it doesn't even have to be that long, but it could be strong, you know?
Mm-hmm. You're such a beautiful person. You're a wordsmith. You're a poet. I love speaking with you. I love being near you. This is beautiful. I'm grateful for this space, and I'm grateful for this technology. I will come back to eye gazing, but really quickly, I'm grateful for this technology. I was having a conversation recently with some really beautiful minds about how we take technology for granted, and we have this perception of it that's just like we need to mass produce it. It's become a toy. We mass produce it and we throw it away. We use it, throw it away, and we really need to come back to this honor and reverence for technology and really respect it because it is so powerful. And you know the direction that it's going, the potential for technology is so powerful, but we really need to respect it. If we are not respecting technology, it is going to cause problems for us. The technology will be fine, the earth will be fine. It's going to cause problems for us because we're not respecting the technology. And I just want to say that because I'm grateful for this connection. It's instant. It's like telepathy. It's instant connection between these beings across time and space. Um, yeah. Okay. But coming back to eye gazing, that's amazing because it just releases all of those perceptions of who you think you are. Like it's really just like you don't need to when you're in that experience, when you're in a hug, eyes closed, just feeling each other, or you're in that experience of looking into each other's eyes, and you just let go of even the body or let go of any perceptions of what you think you're experiencing right now, and you just feel this other being who's also experiencing the same thing, it all just falls away. And you feel that connection, that moment of transcendence, whatever you want to call it. There's words of infinity that you can call it, but you feel that, and it's like wow. And then you come out of it, and you pick up your perceptions again. You pick up your past, and then you keep moving along. But you have that experience to come back to, and we can always come back to those moments. Like we can always, in meditation or just in thought, go back to those experiences and feel those feelings of having all the weight just dropped off and having just that connection, and it's powerful to move forward with for sure. If anyone's never experienced that, go hug someone for 2 minutes straight, right? Just breathe, right? Yeah, or eye gaze.
I definitely agree, man. Like 100%. Like, give it a try. If you've never experienced it for yourself, you might be surprised. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like right before your very eyes, right? They say it's like whoa, I had no idea. And it's interesting because you talk about feeling your feelings. There's even sometimes we get a bad rap, or we're dissuade, or we're kind of put down for feeling, you know, especially like the masculine a lot, to be in your feelings. Why are you in your feelings?
Right.
He's all in his feelings, you know, like there's like a negative connotation with just feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like we're kind of getting pushed sometimes to be numb, or to not be feeling,
Mm-hmm.
or to go the other way. But where do you feel like that comes from, and where do you see the future in a positive way? Like, how do you see people expanding, or people feeling their feelings as time grows on, you know?
Yeah, wow. Um, yeah, I think that comes from those perceptions, those are not perceptions, those projections of protection, where people are trying to protect themselves, but they don't know how to distinguish uncomfortable versus in danger. And so when they're coming into a situation and someone is experiencing deep emotion, it brings up something in themselves, and then they're like, whoa, I don't want to feel like, whoa, wait, you're going too deep here. Like this isn't something I've really processed myself. And most people who meditate probably won't experience that. They won't have that, like, don't feel around me, because they've gone in and they've really felt themselves, and like they've gone deeply. But people who have only ever gone on this conveyor belt that's set out for them, they've never had to go that deep. They've only been in the mind their entire life, and they've just been like from thing to thing, one thing to the next, one thing to the next, and they always have something to hold on to. But emotions are water. It's you float. You can't tense up. You can't be tense. You can't be trying to hold on to anything. You can't grasp the water. It's not going to hold you up. You need to release, and you need to float. You need to let the water hold you, and let your emotions hold you, so that you can experience them. It's not control. You don't need to direct your emotions. You especially don't need to direct other people's emotions, right? You're allowing them to carry you wherever they are going to. And it is a processing, right? It's a processing capacity of the body that we have, where we're able to take in information or take in energy and move it and transmute it in different forms. But that happens through emotion. And so we have to feel our feelings, or else we're going to end up with blockages. We have to free the waters, in a sense, and allow them to flow through our body, and allow others to flow in their systems, right? We don't need to control others. So I think that that's where that stems. It's feeling like someone else releasing control, and it's the same with the matrix stuff. It's like feeling like someone else releasing control, releasing the matrix, is putting your matrix in jeopardy, because that's something that you hold on so tightly to. And so if there's someone who can let that go and be fine, why am I holding on so tightly right now? Right? And it puts something in the mind. It's like, wait, this is danger. They're putting my safety in jeopardy, because now there's something I can let go. But that causes fear, right? It's the same with the emotions, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful explanation, awesome explanation. I love like the analogies, it's like you put your hand in the water and you try to grasp it, and you come away with nothing. You can't grasp
Mm-hmm.
it, but you can experience it.
Mm-hmm.
You can allow it to flow, and to pass over you, and you experience the whole river in your hand just by letting go,
Yeah.
just by allowing and letting it flow. And we have Nabiha here. She said, this past year, I feel that complete strangers ask me for a hug. When I give them, I feel the energy. It's magic and hugs. We were talking about hugs earlier.
Yeah.
So that, you know,
Yeah.
magic.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Hug strangers, please. Right? I like recently I've been asking people just randomly if they dance. I'll just walk up to people and be like, "Do you dance?" And I've just really been enjoying just like dancing for creation, just like randomly dancing. And most of the time people will be like, no, I don't. I'm gonna sit here and do nothing. And it's like, okay, sure, that's fine. But at least you're planting that seed of like there is love around you that is here to just come into your space. And if you allow it, because people need that initial poke to say, someone needs love to knock on their door before they start going out and giving love freely. So if you come up to a stranger and you're like, do you want a hug? They might say no, but then that's gonna put on a whole, thing of dominoes that are gonna fall, and they're gonna end up releasing something, and they're gonna end up giving hugs more often, probably.
You you didn't know, like you just threw a pebble in the pond.
Yeah.
The ripples, you never know where the ripples stop. They don't stop. They're going. So I love how you're talking about planting these seeds, because we even have like Nicole. Nicole says, thank you guys for this confirmation. Using technology in a way that is touching lives today. I always see, like, at the touch of a button, you can touch someone's life. So even right now, as you're speaking, the words that you're speaking, they're creating ripples in someone else. They're planting seeds in someone else that can grow to who knows where.
Yeah.
Who knows where it'll be. It could become a big tree that you just planted with that seed. And even I remember, and I'm sure you've heard this before, that someone can count exactly how many seeds are in one apple. But who among us can count the apples in a single seed?
Yeah. Well,
right?
yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. It's uncountable. It's infinite. You can't count it. So speaking of the Matrix, man, earlier you were talking about how there's different frames and different things. And I remember when I talked about the door and the wall and the key, and you were like, there's not even a key. There's not even a door. It's just the open space that you can just walk through whenever you want to. And you reminded me of the boy with the spoon. You remember the boy with the spoon?
No, please share.
Okay, so in the Matrix, the first one, there was a little boy who was like serving a spoon, and he was bending the spoon with his mind. He wasn't moving the spoon. He wasn't grabbing the spoon. The spoon was bending on its own. And so Neo looked at this boy and he was like, how are you doing that? And the boy gave him the spoon to give him a try. And he looked at the spoon, and the boy told him, do not try to bend the spoon. That is impossible. He said, only realize the truth. And Neo was like, the truth? What? The boy said, there is no spoon. He was like, whoa,
yeah.
No spoon. What am I holding, right?
Yeah.
What am I holding? If there is no spoon, what is this? That when you realize that there is no spoon, then you'll see that it's not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's what you reminded me of. Like, why do you feel like we think that there has to be a door, or there has to be a spoon, or there has to be a key? Or why don't you think we realize we could just walk through?
It's too easy. It's too easy. If we're not able to do it, why can't we do it? It's like how far do I want to go? Yeah, it's too easy. If you tell someone that they can have anything that they want in this world, they just have to do it. It's like, but that's too easy, right? There must be something holding me back. And it's probably yourself, and the self is everything, right? And so like with that, I was going to say, you even brought it back. You're like, it's changing within me, but the spoon is you. Like, you are the spoon. You are all the elements. And I think that's where we're going, realizing that. But yeah, you are the spoon. And so realizing there is no barriers, there's no separation really, but there is separation at the same time within duality, right? It's dualistic unity. And that's a podcast. You guys can listen to that. This is a beautiful podcast, Dualistic Unity. But it's an amazing name, because that's what we're in. It's everything is able to experience unity through the duality. If you're only one thing and we're all just in this field of unity, there's nothing to compare yourself to. And so you are just like, it's boring almost. It's like, I'm this, I'm everything, I'm one, and I'm me. Like, that's it. But if there's nothing to compare yourself to, it's like, okay, what am I doing? Like, I'm just here. I'm just being. And so then you have other things, you have other beings that you can eye gaze and you can hug, and you each experience the challenges of being separate, and then you can come together and experience unity. And it's that fluctuation that brings the power in that. And so from either perspective, there's pros and cons of both perspectives. So if you're in only unity and you're saying everything is me and there's no door because everything is me and I can just float within the reality that is me, then it's like, okay, great, like that's good. That's probably a valuable perspective. But then there is still separation. So then when you come into the separation, you're like, but I'm not. There must be a door because things are separate. There is barriers. I'm clearly in this body. I'm clearly, clearly this is a table. This is a phone. These things are here. I can see them. I can feel them. So there has to be a door. Like we have to add in that limit. But behind it, there is no door. And it's the same thing. It's like in that, right? How do you just make the door disappear? There is no door, you know. It's there if you perceive it, but there is no door. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like yeah, yeah, the perception is reality. Like when you argue for your limitation, you get to keep it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you argued for it. You say there has to be a door, so there is a door now.
Right.
If there is no door, then there is no door.
Right.
That's amazing. Like the way you broke it down so eloquently, brother. You're like, we experience our separateness and then come together to experience unity, like to experience a oneness. But there's like, there's a, there's a rhythm and rhyme and a reason to it all. There's a season to it all. There's like, it all has meaning. It feels very purposeful. It feels just to be able to be connected in that way. And like you said, to find out that there is no spoon. Earlier, you were talking about meditators versus people who don't meditate. I feel you're someone who has experienced your mind. You've meditated. You felt yourself on that level. Is that how you found for yourself that there was no spoon in your life? Was it through meditation?
Hmm. It was through mushrooms more so, and then meditating on that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can go into that a little bit. Yeah, so I've had a few experiences where I kind of just zoom out, and then you feel that you are everything in a sense. And then from that perspective, coming back, it's like, okay, at first it's like, okay, that's not like you reject it a little bit, and it's like limitations must be real. I can't be everything. I'm not the creator. And then you get some like uh, falsities within that where you're like, some ego comes in and it's like I don't know, ego comes in and it causes problems. But then realizing just the connectedness, it really just is about realizing the connectedness. You don't need to bring in any identity about it. There is no identity. Like there are filters, things like it's all one source that's going through filters. And so there's identities that act as filters so that we can experience the separateness, so that we can experience the unity, right? Um, but it's all one thing at the back end and at the front end, and it just goes through these filters. Um, Meditating on that.
That's that's a lot to munch on.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a lot to digest. That's you got to let that marinate. You know,
definitely.
yeah. So these are you know, these are challenging concepts for some, but then not challenging for others. You know, it seems very paradoxical. It's like sometimes you either get it or you don't. You know, you either know it or you don't. You either understand or, you know, it takes some time to really unwind and peel back the layers of that onion,
Mm-hmm.
and tears start to come, right?
Yeah, yes.
Right. So that sounds like a whole nother conversation we could definitely get into next time, maybe with the mushrooms. I would love to learn about, you know, what the journeys have brought you, what the journeys have taught you.
I would love to get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Awesome. But man, this has been amazing, brother. Man, thank you for coming on
yeah.
here. Thank you for
Thank you
speaking.
for
Thank you for
holding
teaching.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is about, man. And yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be watching this again. I learned so much, but I definitely there's some tidbits there that I need
Mm-hmm.
to munch on again. I need to pick up again.
Yeah.
And you know, if anybody, if this was somebody's first time watching you, and they wanted to know more or they wanted to explore a little bit further, where would you like them to go if you had a place for people to contact you or a space for people to see what you have available? Where would you like?
Yeah, so I am trying to post more on Instagram at Kai Ever Learning. I also am trying to post relatively the same information, same stuff on TikTok, same at. And then I'm trying to build, if anybody is in Temecula area, I'm trying to build a community here of people. I'm going to try to educate on permaculture. If you guys don't know what permaculture is, follow me and I'll educate you on it, give you a little background. Um, and then otherwise just like holding spaces, holding ceremonies, doing stuff like the self-love workshop, and giving opportunities for people to come together and be in this space where we don't need to hold on to so many limitations, because there is no limitations, right? We're just here. We're just here together, and we're all in this experience. We're all in this journey together. We're all walking each other home, which is a beautiful quote that I love to connect with. But yeah, so if you guys are interested in the Temecula community, the link is in my, or the at is in my bio. It's called the Kairos Permaculture Community, or Kairos Gardens Community, I think I called it.
Ross
Yeah.
Gardens community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys can do that.
Awesome, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Communities, man. This is what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So much love, man. Enjoy the
Yeah,
rest of your day.
yeah, blessings.
Buy the tofu. Take care of tofu. And make cameo.
Tofu.
Oh, awesome, man. All right, brother. Yeah.
Have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
Much love.
Much love.